The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm and applies pressure against the neck, leading to a tap or unconsciousness. The Darce, on the other hand, is a show where three sharp cappers bring their muscle.
80. I'm here with guys of the Darce podcast. Slick doing dirty boxing up the middle, Mr. Plus. I'm starting to win shots. We're here in St. Louis. In the main event, we're calling it off. We got Joaquin Buckley. We got a bunch of St. Louis on this card. Slick, I want your reaction here to the main event. Urseg, Pantoja, razor thin fight. We all like the underdog, Steve Urseg. I felt like he might have taken it, but they say you got to beat the champion. You got to steal it from in Brazil. They didn't give it to him. What do you think? How do you score the fight? Do you think Urseg won?
Yeah, man, I think it really comes down to the third round, how you score the third round, because Pantoja does outstrike Urseg, but I just don't think that it's just what do the judges really see in these types of fights? Like, are they really giving more props to Pantoja little strikes and holding on Urseg, or they're going to count Urseg the most damaging shot of the round, which was that elbow that cut open Pantoja. And honestly, I just don't know. Like, Pantoja was holding on to his head damn near for the next 3 rounds. And I just don't think the next 2 rounds. And I think it was the most damaging shot of the round. So I think he could have gave it to him. But like I said, in Brazil, these are the type of guys that you got to knock out to really steal the champ, or sub to really steal the chip. So props to Pantoja, but I thought Ursay could have got the nod.
Control, and they scored the control in Rio. I understand it. Pantoja did do his work, and it, looked good aesthetically. Mr. Plus, you did pretty well. You called Aldo on the underdog shot. You had a nice call on Brito too. Destroyed the leg of Jack Shore, but sometimes we just need your rants and your vents. And last week, it was Span is banned, and this week, Vitor Petrino blows the Darce parlay for us on the last leg, the juiciest leg. He gets caught in the guillotine by Anthony Smith, Mr. Plus. How could it happen?
How can you look like the Terminator, the human monster, and just be so dumb and go for that takedown and get your neck snatched? And yeah, Anthony Smith, we got to remember he is a veteran, and that was nobody's getting out of that squeeze, man. He had that thing locked in. So even being as strong as Petrino is, he couldn't get out of it. And rookie mistake against a veteran like Anthony Smith, who if we bet on him, he loses. If we bet against him, he wins. Can never get this guy right.
Dude, it's ridiculous. And Smith loves to steal my money. And he's talking that shit now, right? He's been like, hey, all the haters that have talking about my career ending, like myself, not happening quite yet. Still rattling off some wins.
Hey, he's now talking about this bet with Alex Pereira. If he can have his back with 2 hooks in and 5 minutes, could he finish him? And I'll give you the real answer to this. Absolutely. You're going to give Anthony Smith his back? He's going to sink that rear naked choke in immediately. That's all he's going to do. I don't understand what Pereira would gain out of this if it's only grappling. Hey, maybe we'll see that matchup. I doubt it, but maybe. Who knows?
Fight Night Picks, what do you think about this? 50K on the line. Pereira says 2 hooks in. You could take my back 5 minutes. You're not subbing me. You think Pereira can last?
I think honestly it's just a matter of fact that we just think that Pereira probably thinks his grappling is top notch, training with Glover and those guys over there. So, but 5 minutes on your back is just tough, man. Especially Anthony Smith. I believe he has more submission wins than knockout wins. So, I think he subs Pereira. 5 minutes, that's too long.
50K up. I got to see it now. Grappling Invitational. All right, guys. On to this week, UFC St. Louis. And we're going to kick it off with the Brasco breakdown for you guys. It's the featured prelim of the night. And this is a guy I bet on before who's made me money, who I think is developing into an absolute beast. It's Slava Borchev, Vyacheslav on your scorecards, taking on Chase Hooper. And I think this is a tough matchup for Hooper. Hooper's a long, lanky jiu-jitsu player, grappler, young fighter who's been developing in the UFC, but has taken some brutal knockouts. We saw boxer Steve Garcia piece him up. Hooper's wins, but they're all over fellow grapplers like Nick Fiore, Jordan Levitt, right? Against strikers, he's struggled, and Slava is getting sharp, man. He's a compact boxer who's training with wrestlers, right? American top team, so getting better. We've seen him lose in a couple bouts in the UFC because he couldn't stop the takedowns, but I think he's really worked on that, developed that tirelessly. And if Slava's got takedown defense and needs to stand and bang a fair, I was at the Garden for his fight with Nazim Sedyakov. We all had him, I believe, as an underdog. We felt like he won amateur shots, but it was a great battle, and he showed,
Absolutely. I love Slava Claus is coming to town. He's one of my favorites that just does that. So I love that, Brasco. What a great play for your play.
how do we not love Slava Claus? So Slava Borchev, I'm getting him right now. I'm throwing several units on him at minus 135. I found his best line. That's going to move. So that's the Brasco breakdown. Slava Borchev. Mr. Plus likes it. Slick. What do you think about Slava Claus against Hooper? Going to get pieced up.
Yeah, man, I think you got to go with Slava in this fight. Chase Hooper is just one of those types of guys that he doesn't have the greatest wrestling to even get the fight down to the ground. My one concern with Borchev is always going to be his takedown defense. Like this guy, anybody and their mom could take him down with the slightest takedowns, and that's going to be a concern. Like Chase Hooper, even in that Gonzalez fight, Steve Garcia fight, he did take a quick beating and and Garcia was able to stuff some takedowns. But honestly, man, I would have to lean Borchev because I think he inflicts the more damage before the wrestling gets going for Hooper. But I'm just not gonna bet him because there could be a world where I see Hooper just tries to throw a naked judo throw or some type of swooping double leg or anything and just takes Borchev down and maybe tries to implement his grappling. So I could see a world there. I'm gonna just take the fight to not go the distance. That's gonna be my bet for this fight. One of these guys is gonna get their way, and if one of them gets their way, I think they handle the other.
All right, Slick throwing some doubt Slava's way, but you think this fight is not seeing the judges' scorecards. I feel like the draft face like Jacasey and Mike Davis and lost to prepared him for this moment. That's what I feel like. Gave him, you got to lose grapplers sometime. Mr. Plus, you liking Slava?
I do. I really do like Slava Claus in this spot. I think it gets done early too. The power is going to be different here. Yeah, Chase Hooper's. You're right. So like he could get those takedowns potentially. And he is somewhat durable. We've seen him get hit so many times and not be out. So he's a pretty durable guy. But I think the power of Slava is going to be the difference here. And I think he's going to do it to him early. He can get inside, kind of take this fight where he wants it. I see a ground and pound victory for the Slava Claus.
All right. Matches all those scores. All right. It's time for the Mr. Plus. Hey, got one for us. 3-legger for UFC Fight Night St. Louis. Break me down some prelim and some main event fights. Mix them up. Tell us who you like this weekend, Mr. Plus.
I was happy to drive the bus through the vault last week and cash big for you guys, and we're looking to try and do it again. If you want to make some money, now's the time. Stop scrolling. Here we go. First leg of my play, I'm taking Kevin Jousset. He's fighting Goodwin. Is it Goodwin? It's Gooden. Sorry. He's fighting Gooden and Jared Gooden, who is a bigger dude. And don't get me wrong, he looks like a brick shit house. He's ripped. He's going to look like a mean guy. But I'm taking Kevin Jousset. This dude from France is a monster. He's actually the bigger guy. 6'2", standing next to the 6-foot guy. And I'm telling you, when they face off, he's going to look bigger in general. Maybe not muscles, but just a bigger guy. And I think he's going to hit him with power. I think he's got it. I think it's going to be a first or second round victory for our boy Jousset. That's leg number 1. We're jumping right to leg number 2, which I don't know where Waldo is, but he picked a wrong spot today. And we're going with the new up-and-comer, Despain, Taekwondo. This dude is a monster on the feet. 6'7". He's going to be longer. He's going to be bigger, taller. I even say stronger. I think this is going to be an easy one for him. He's got a clear path to the top to start running through these lower-level guys and show that he needs to be up there and fighting better guys. So give me Despain. I think that's going to be probably the easiest leg. I'm saying first-round victory here. I don't think Waldo's making it out of the first. And I know he's never been knocked out, but he's never fought anybody like this. His level of competition is so low. You can't even compare him to Despain. Silver medal in the Olympics in Taekwondo. Just for you guys to know, and that is not a great MMA foundation, Taekwondo. But when you're 6'7" and you can do that in the heavyweight division, I think that's something to be said. Because one punch and you can put anybody out. So I like him by KO. I like it early. And the last leg, actually, I said that was going to be the easiest one. This could be easier unless our boy Rebecca wants to take this to the mat. And I get it. He's got the strong wrestling foundation, but that's where he doesn't want to go against Ferreira. That's the only place he could lose is against a skilled jiu-jitsu player like that. So he needs to keep this on the feet and where he wants it and up close, strong leg kicks, body shots. I think he puts him out again early. I think all these could be finishes, but that's the play. The 3-leg parlay. We're going Kevin Doucette, Despain, and Mitaush Rebecca.
I like it, man. Rabisti. Right now, actually,
Rebecca.
minus up to minus 370 on some other books. Robelis Despain, like you said, monster knockout artist. 80 million inch reach. Guy can touch you from across the cage before the fight starts. Like, absolute terrifying prospect. I don't think Waldo's point fighting boxing is going to be able to keep him away. His line's on the move as well.
Yeah, I think, man, I agree with all the points that Mr. Plus was saying. So I think it's a good spot for all three of those fighters, man. I think I like Giuseppe. I like the Spain. The Spain, I actually cashed a big plus 60-second fight to end by 60 seconds in his last fight against Josh Parisian. This guy, I love the way he fights off his back foot too, man. That's why I was real hyped about. I knew Parisian was gonna try to do some blitzing thing, and man, Waldo is just not good, man. He just fought nowhere near the type of power puncher this Spain is. And there's a lot of fights that he just throws his hands down like with no worry in the world of the other person on the other side. He's gonna have that worry with the Spain. And Giuseppe, honestly, I actually think the opposite, Mr. Plus. I actually think he makes this fight a little boring, like against his fight against Kenan Song, his last fight against a good power puncher in Song himself. I think he makes it a little boring. I think he makes it clinch. I think he wears on Gooden. That's where that power is going to get sucked out of him in that second and third round and maybe gets a late finish. But I think Giuseppe is just too smart to really play that game with Gooden. And I think he probably out wrestles him. And one thing that Gooden does have on his resume, he is a good, solid wrestler. But I love Giuseppe's scrambles. I love the way that he's able to just reverse at any moment. So give me Giuseppe. I love all three of those.
Yeah. All right, man. It's approved by the squad. Liking it. Kevin Giuseppe, Robelis Despain, Mateus Robeski. What odds you get on that? It's got to be like what, plus 195, something like that. We'll throw that up there. But I like that.
Not all books have the lines up yet. We try to do these early for you guys, but I think you can find them on that one MMA. Cal knows what it is.
Yeah, lines are up on FanDuel, DraftKings. Most of them, they're just on the move now. So if you like some of these favorites, I say bet them early, right? Bet favorites early before everyone grabs them up and they become minus 500 by fight night. All right, it's time for the Slick report, and Slick's got a fight for us on the prelims. Ladies fighting Slick. Who's the female fighter on this card that you're looking at?
Yeah, man, I'm looking at a girl that's going to avenge her loss in this fight, and Tabitha Ricci. In her last fight, she fought probably a more technical boxer than Tisha. Let me say Pennington because her name's not Torres no more. So, and the one thing that's really concerning with her is that, she's coming off that layoff with her being pregnant, being a year away, and I looked at her Instagram. She basically started training and doing MMA all over again, probably like 8 months ago. So I just don't think that she's going to be able to succeed with her takedown defense. That honestly, in my perspective, is a little fraudulent. Like you had girls like Angela Hill trying to take her down. You had girls and like Jessica Andrade shooting 10 takedowns and only getting like, I think it was like 2 or 3 of them. So I see that takedown defense being a little fraudulent. It's sitting at 61%. I just think that Tabitha Ricci is just gonna outwork her. You know, there have been moments that Tisha Torres against Mackenzie Dern was just late to that second move. I mean, that second movement that Tabitha Ricci excels at. Man, she knows how to get you in one spot just to put herself in a better spot. And I think she just like I said, outworks Tisha Torres to a decision. I think minus 142 for I got on Tabitha Ricci at money line. And there's no props right now for her, but I got to think that her decision prop is going to sit at like plus 110, plus 115. I'm gonna bet that too because I think Tisha Torres, she never been finished in the UFC, but I just think there's gonna be spots where Tisha Torres is just gonna be a little bit a step behind. She has good striking, and that could be a little worrisome. But I just don't think that her striking is more of a blitz type of striking, more of a get you against the cage type of striking. And I think Tabitha Ricci, she one thing that she's good at, even on her back against the cage, she still shoots takedowns. So I think it's a good spot for her. And if she gets this fight down to the ground, I think she could hold Tisha Torres down there, just like Mackenzie Dern was able to. And I think Tabitha Ricci is a way better striker than Mackenzie Dern. So give me Tabitha Ricci money line and Tabitha Ricci by decision.
All that makes a lot of sense to me. I think Ricci gets it done exactly like you say, by decision, beating her to the next position. Tisha Torres, like you mentioned, now Tisha Pennington, having a child coming back, and I think Ricci's in pretty good form now. I got to agree with you, Mr. Plus.
Right now, to just give you the prop, so it's plus 100 for Tabitha Ricci by decision on Bet Online. That's at least the opening line that's out there initially, but it's probably going to sit, like you said, plus 100 to plus 115 for Tabitha Ricci by decision.
Mr. Plus, what are you thinking there?
I think that was an excellent breakdown by my dude Slick, as always. And I'm on the same side. I just don't see a girl coming off of a 2-year break, having a baby in the mix, starting MMA 8 months over, thinking she's going to come in here and beat someone as good as Tabitha Ricci. I just don't think it's going to happen. And Tabitha Ricci coming off that L, I agree, Slick. She needs to avenge that L. She was on her way up before that L. Let's get back in the win column. This is a good spot for her. And I think she grinds it out too. It's not going to be an easy one because Tasha is not bad. It's just too much time off to come back to somebody this high level. Give me Ricci. I agree by decision or even late finish.
All right, there you go. We all like Ricci. Slick with the breakdown for you there on the Slick Report. And guys, it's time for each of us to bring our lock of the week. Each one of these will make up a leg of the Darce parlay. And well, we haven't talked about the main event yet, so we might as well get to that because that'll be the first leg. We'll build backwards. And we're going to start with Mr. Plus Money, taking a look at the heavyweights getting after it. Who do we like in this heavyweight banger in the main event?
I think you guys know where I'm going with this. My balls is hot. Give me the Black Beast. Bro, how are you going to bring Nascimento in here and make I think the line is still disrespectful. I think him being a plus 170 Nascimento underdog isn't enough. He should be plus 500. This should be Derek Lewis minus 350. This is disrespectful. If you're going to give me the minus 165 or whatever he's at, I'm going to have to slam him as part of the Darce. I mean, this is just levels. This is levels. And you know what? The Black Beast is a big fan favorite. They're obviously trying to put him back in the win column. This is a great spot for him. We saw him put Rodrigo lights out with the flying knee. We were on him then, and I'm going to be on him again here. And I think he gets it done big time. KO. The Black Beast is back. He's taking his shorts off. We're going to see boxers on Saturday.
How do you Derek Lewis in this spot here? Like you said, Marcus Rogerio de Limo hit him with the flying switch knee as an underdog. They made Lewis the underdog then. He cashed big for us. And yeah, minus 148 I got him at. I threw a couple of units on that right away, and I feel like that's going to increase by fight night. Slick, do you like the Black Beast in the main event too?
Yeah, man. I actually was gonna go a lot bigger than I was honestly gonna make Derek Lewis probably my first non-drunk 10-unit max play, like, because I had one 10-unit max play and it was on Man on Furo, but that was a little bit, the Henny made me speak a little bit on that bet. But honestly, man, I just think this is the perfect opportunity for him, man. Rodrigo Nascimento went, I think he went like 0-4, 0-5 on takedowns against their Dontel Mays his last fight. And if Dontel Mays is stuffing your takedowns, one thing about Derek Lewis is that if you don't have a good grappling based submission guy that really gonna wear on Derek Lewis and then submit him or submit him early, because the one thing that we've seen Spivak, a guy like Spivak, have success is that he was able to do it early. Nascimento is one of those types of guys that he gets you tired, then he starts getting grappling going. He's not going to be able to get the grappling going, I think, against Derek Lewis. And honestly, man, Nascimento has gotten knocked out by guys like Chris Dawkins, and Derek Lewis. He has a mean, solid uppercut. One thing that we know about Nascimento, he's more of a double leg type of guy, and we've seen Derek Lewis knock out Curtis Blades clean with a solid uppercut, him shooting for a double leg. That's why I actually bet on Spivak, because I know he was able to get like judo throws and stuff like that against a guy like Derek Lewis. So I'm going Derek Lewis, man. I'm gonna look into it a little bit more, but I like the more I look into it, the more I just want to make Derek Lewis max bet. So I'm gonna just go 3 units on Derek Lewis money line.
There you have it, man. I love it, man. Love the breakdown there. Levels, like Mr. Plus said as well. Levels to it, right? And Lewis, just the experience, the boxing, the get-up game. If he does get taken to the ground, I totally agree. So, like, the style in which Nascimento would grapple him, I don't think will be successful. So we saw him last against Jailton Almeida. All that time on the ground in full mount, he didn't get subbed or finished. So, Lewis got the chops to hang in the grappling department. If it's standing, he's dangerous. We like Derek Lewis in the main event. All right, Slick, that's going to kick it to you then, and you'll have the next leg of the Darce. We talked about this fighter already. Add on to why we like Mateus Rabisti.
Yeah, man. I honestly think Rabisky. I honestly think his name is Rebecki. Honestly. So we don't know until Bruce Buffer announces this, because that guy knows everybody's name. So Rebecki, I think he's the lock of the week. I think he's gonna be able to find anything he wants against a guy like Diego Ferreira, who was getting pieced the fuck up by Michael Johnson in his last fight, until he landed a punch that we know Michael Johnson does not have a chin whatsoever. So, and the one thing that I really like about Rebecki is his fight IQ. He knows how to get in and get out. He knows when to strike, when to wrestle. And I remember Mr. Plus saying earlier that he doesn't want Rebecki to go to the ground. I honestly do want him to go to the ground, because his half guard game is probably one of the most underrated parts of his game. I think he has good full mount positioning. He knows when to go to that full mount. And honestly, I think he has more submissions in his top mount and then a lot of people think. I betted on him by submission against Roosevelt Roberts' last fight, and I honestly thought that he was able to just do anything and anything he wants. Diego Ferreira is more the type of guys that he sets up the submissions instead of just going for a Hail Mary one. So I think Rebecki could sit in that half guard, just implement some damage. And if this fight is on the feet, man, all Diego got is an overhand right. He doesn't have no combinations. Rebecki has that clean leg kick that we've seen him murder Razabov in his last fight, and that's not even the best part of his stand-up. So Rebecki, I think, is the lock of the week.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Mateus Rebecki about to do work. This guy looks like an absolute monster. Slick covered all the areas. And Ferreira, I'm so mad I brought that up. I had Michael Johnson so confident in that play. He was pacing him up, and he gets clipped with an overhand right. But Ferreira's 40 years old at this point, like you said. That's pretty much all he's got. He's got the great grappling game, but Rebecki is so strong on top. AO pause, and I think he's going to be able to get it done wherever the fight goes. I love it. All right, so let's close it out, and I'll end it. Lock up the Darce with Sean Woodson, featherweight fighter on the rise. Because a featherweight, he's built like a freaking light heavyweight. Extremely long and rangy and lanky fighter that's tough to deal with, man. He's a good boxer. He's got pro boxing experience as well. He's been able to show that he can use his reach effectively. He's fighting Alex Caceres here, who's getting up there in age, man. Caceres is like 36 years old now. And Caceres, good fighter, all around guy that's been in the top 10 of the featherweight division. But I feel like it's Sean Woodson's time to kind of make his rise. I think wherever this fight goes, I don't know if Caceres is going to be able to necessarily grapple with him or take him down. Woodson's shown good takedown defense, much improved lately. He's got grappling of his own. He uses his length in the grappling as well. He's really just tough frame to deal with. And I think that Caceres won't be able to win that point fighting battle with Woodson, who's shown that he's really good at winning those decisions now. So I think wherever this goes, Woodson's going to have the edge at range, of course, even in the clinch situations. Give me Sean Woodson minus 195. I think that line will climb as well to get past Alex Caceres and move on up the ranks. And that gets us about like plus 195, something like that. I got to check the odds there, but it's pretty solid. Darce parlay. What do you guys think about Mr. Plus? What do you think about Sean Woodson in this spot?
I'm a big fan of Sean Woodson just in general, and a little something that not everybody knows is he used to fight at much higher weight classes, and I think that's why his takedown defense is so good, and he's so big for 145, man. I know he's lanky and he doesn't have a huge build, but even those lanky guys are really strong, man. So yeah, I like Sean Woodson in this spot. Caceres is pretty good, but and he's a dog and he's a vet, but he's just getting old, man. And yeah, I agree with you, Sean Woodson. This is like his time. He's winning these close fights, and you could just really see him maybe powering through this one and stepping up into these rankings, man. I think he's Sean Woodson on the rise, man.
Yeah, especially as he looked really good in his last fight. Slick, you like Woodson here?
Yeah, and a quick note: the plus money bus is plus 171, and the
Excellent.
Darce is plus 201.
Bang. Much better than I said, plus 195. There you
Well,
go.
you could probably get better odds on DraftKings because FanDuel is minus 370 for Rebecca, and we know on DraftKings is like minus 310 around there. So you could probably get better odds on DraftKings.
Shop your lines there. Yes, but it's like you're liking Sean Woodson.
Yeah, like you said, man, I just think that Sean Woodson, if you're not gonna wrestle him all 3 rounds, you're not gonna be able to beat him. I just don't think Alex Caceres is gonna bring a grappling heavy game plan to this fight. And we've seen him even against guys like Giga Chikadze that was just able to outpoint him on the outside. Woodson doesn't bring a lot of kicks like Giga Chikadze does, but he does have a great jab. So I love it.
All right, guys. Plus 201 Darce parlay. Well, it's time to close out the show with our dogs of the week. And we'll each take an underdog that we'd like on this card. Let the dogs out here. Slick, I'm going to let you kick it off here. We got an interesting matchup on the prelims here. Trey Waters, long rangey striker, taking on Billy Goff, plus 145. A dog who's got that dog in him. Why do you like Billy Goff here?
Man, I just think that, man, a lot of people are looking at the size. I just don't think because Trey Waters is like 6'5", 6'4", and Billy Goff is 5'10". I just don't think there's anything that Billy Goff is going to be scared of in this fight. I've seen him take clean head kicks, going on the floor and just getting right back up and putting the pressure on. I honestly, my real comparison to him is a Nate Landwehr. Like, you think that you're going to be able to knock him out. He's going to be in your face, and the pressure just kills people. And a guy like Trey Waters that just wants to stick to the outside, pop his jab, I'm just not impressed with it. He looked good against Josh Quinlan, but one thing we know about Josh Quinlan is that he's a wrestler first and a striker second that fell in love with striking and forgot about his wrestling. So he went 0-5 on takedowns against Trey Waters. And then next thing you know, he's just a one-trick pony on the feet, left hook or nothing. And Trey Waters was just able to outpoint him. I think Billy Goff does a good job of cutting the cage off, putting them body shots. And the one thing that we know about these tall, lanky guys is that once the body work starts adding up to them, their jab and their popping their shots start getting worse and worse throughout the rounds. And I think that's where Billy Goff excels at, getting in that second, getting that third round. And we've seen him plenty of times, man. This guy is an all-around type of guy. He can hurt you on the feet and then straight shoot a double leg, get you on the feet, and get you on the ground and just implement even more damage. So I love this bet for Billy Goff, man. So give me Billy Goff money line.
Man, I gotta tail this. I totally agree, man. He's not gonna let the rangy guy who wants to point fight him on the outside have that space. Billy Goff will refuse to let him play that game. Mr. Plus, what do you think about that dog there, Billy Goff?
I like him, man. He's a dog. He puts his head down. When I looked at my dogs and the guys that I wanted to pick this week, he was definitely on my radar. Don't get me wrong, Trey Waters, he's great on the feed. He knows how to keep his distance. So if he's going to be able to do that, he could outpoint him and piece him up. But I don't think so. I think Billy Goff will put his head down and he'll bite down on his mouthpiece and take one to give one. And when he does get inside, that's where he's going to do his best work. So I guess I'm probably tailing that too. Slick. I'm probably just going to throw a unit on it though. Nothing crazy.
Totally agree. 1 unit Billy Goff plus 145. Lock me in for that shit too. All right, Mr. Plus, it's your turn for the dog of the week. You got the longest odds here, but plus 215. I saw.
Yeah, you know what? And I think this is going to be a pretty unpopular dog. I think that people are going to be riding this favorite pretty heavy. And his name is Carlos Ulberg. That's the favorite. I'm going with Alonzo Menefield, man. This guy, listen, strength of schedule. And you want to talk about a guy who's starting to get hot and like beat guys and look good. Yo, you just beat Dustin Jacoby. That's a really good dub. Right before that, you beat Jimmy Crute, who's also a dog. So, I mean, I got to side with Alonzo Menefield. The power is going to be deadly. Don't get me wrong, he is weak to the left hook, which is Carlos Ulberg's strength, but I think he's been working on protecting himself from that. That's really where Ulberg can do the majority of his damage, but his strength of schedule is just better. You can't tell me that Ihor Poteria 2 fights ago, we just saw him get destroyed on Saturday. That's a terrible win. It doesn't even look good. And you beat Da Un Jun. This guy's nobody. I mean, I get it. You showed us a little bit of your grappling skills. You subbed them kind of in the last 11 seconds, whatever that was. I hated that. I had Ulberg by knockout. Of course, he gets a sub in that fight. And that's not why I'm picking Menefield. Not that he owes me money, but he does, Ulberg. But I'm going with honestly what I see. And what I'm seeing is Menefield's coming up here. And I just think there's too much hype on Ulberg. I think the line is off. This should be way closer to a pick 'em. I got to go with the value. I got to go with Menefield, the dog.
Feel like the odds are a little wide. This fight scares me. I wanted to bet Menefield too. I haven't done it yet, but he was showing me some big improvements in that fight against Dustin Jacoby, a really good kickboxer who he decided to end up. I thought he was going to try to, I bet on him. I thought he was going to win by out grappling him, outworking him, right? He ended up knocking him out, kind of entering with those odd angles and, an entry slick. I was pretty impressed with it. He cashed as a dog. What do you think about backing him as a dog here?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw half a unit on Menefield, man. I just think that this is a guy that he's been, like Mr. Plus said, just showing us levels. And the one thing that we always came about him, like basically came at him about was his gas tank. And he moved to Colorado. I don't think he's fighting that. I don't think he's training out of elevation, but I know he's in. I think he's in. I believe I want to say he's not fighting out of Royval's camp either. But I know he's training out of Colorado, man, getting better with his gas tank. And it showed in that Jacoby fight. The power that he has in all 3 rounds is just unsustainable. And one thing about Ulberg is that we just don't know what he's gonna bring into this fight. Like, is he gonna bring in his kickboxing type of style, or is he gonna bring the wrestling type of grappling style that he brought against Doon Jung? And if he brings that grappling style, man, we see Menefield, man, his squeezes in any type of position that he gets, guillotine, arm triangles, whatever, man, that this guy taps you, puts you to sleep in any moment. So I'm gonna throw a half a unit on Menefield. Like Mr. Plus said, he is a little acceptable to the left hook. But watching those fights back, that gas tank of his is way better. I think he wasn't able to see those left hooks because he was gassed. So give me a Menefield plus money.
I like it, man. 2 dogs definitely worth backing there. I see the case for both these guys. Billy Goff, Alonzo Menefield. Give me Terrence McKinney for my dog of the week. I think this line is off as well. McKinney plus 150. Look, he's taken some tough losses in the UFC to guys like Drew Dober and Nazim Sedyakov, who's a blue chip prospect right now. Just got an amazing fight with Slava. But if you look back at his record, he's got wins over guys like Matt Frivola. He's on the come up. He got knocked out by Ismail Bonfim, but another great looking prospect on the come up. Like, his losses were certainly due to his recklessness, but I think he's maturing and his game. He's starting to find himself a little bit. And against Esteban Rivovics here, a guy who's just 12-1, who just lost to Loic Radzhabov, just kind of getting outworked and out grappled in his debut, and then got a win over Kemwella Kirk in his next fight. I don't know if he's ready for a guy like explosive and dangerous and so unpredictable and unorthodox as McKinney after seeing a guy like Cam Kirk and even losing a number of grappling exchanges in parts of that fight. So I think McKinney can use his grappling here. That's a big part of his game that's super dangerous. Look out for the chokes. If he gets his back here, I think McKinney's live to sub him. And I think the plus 150 tag is not correct here. Ribovic has pretty solid boxing, and he's a guy that's down to fight and throw down in the pocket a little bit, but I think McKinney takes this to the floor and uses his grappling to get the win. So give me Terrence McKinney plus 150, which I think is a really good price tag. So like, what do you think about McKinney here? You think he can keep coming up and get some traction going in his UFC career?
Man, honestly, I just don't trust him in this matchup because if you really go through all his career, this is honestly, other than Ishmael Bonfim and Sadiakov, this is honestly gonna be his third best striker that he has fought with at least more pop in his shots. Because Ziem is, I would say, more technical type of striker, but he doesn't have enough pop in his shots like Ribovic has. And one thing that I really do concern me is Ribovic's wrestling, but he showed good submission defense against Kamuela Kirk. He showed good ability to reverse Razabov in a lot of those predicaments. I just honestly, man, I just don't think that Terrence McKinney is gonna get the finish in the first round, and I just can't trust. I just can't trust Ribovic in a sense at minus 175 to bet him. So the only bet that I'll probably take in this fight is the under 1.5, and that has hit in Terrence McKinney. I believe in his last 9 fights in a row. So unless Terrence McKinney shows me some type of cardio, I think it has hit more. Honestly, I think he has only hit it one time in his career, and he went to the third round. So under 1.5, I'm just not betting Ribovic at that price tag.
Dude, you take a look at that. McKinney is kill or be killed round one or halfway through round two. Mr. Plus, do you think someone's getting out of there early? And if so, could it be McKinney getting Ribovic out of there?
It could be either or because, like you just said, he's kill or be killed. But I do like Terrence McKinney in the dog spot here, plus money. I see some value on it. He is a lot more calculated. He's looked better. Let's be honest. The dude in his first couple fights, we watched him when he lost to Dover. Like, dude, he just comes out. He gets flatlined. I mean, let's be honest. He'll get knocked out. He'll get clipped. Or was that someone else? Sorry about that. If I said that fucked up. You guys know I always fuck a couple fighters up at least twice a week. But that might have been right. Anyways, I want to say this: Terrence McKinney plus money. He's so electric, and you want him to be that guy that we've all seen before in that first round. So that's what we're all hoping to see, and I think that's why we put our money on this guy. The entertainment levels there, and this guy is absolutely going for kill or be killed. And I think he could do it, Danny. I could see us getting the dub there in the first round. Although, yeah, Ribovic, like Slick just said, not a walkover. Dude's got some hands. But McKinney's crazy, so I'm excited to see the explosiveness.
There we go. All right, yeah, definitely look out for that fight. Should be a banger. All right, so I got Terrence McKinney dog. Slick's got Billy Goff, Mr. Plus Alonzo Menafield. Guys, honorable mentions time. The co-main freaking event of the evening. Joaquin Buckley in his native hometown of St. Louis, taking on Nursultan Ruziboev, guy on the come up here, coming off a controversial win over Cedricus Dumas. And now it's pretty big co-main event spot. Fairly short notice for him jumping in here. Buckley minus 165 favorite right now. Ruziboev about plus 140 dog. Slick, who do you like in the co-main event?
It's actually short notice for both the guys. Both of them fought at the Atlantic City card, so they got both same amount of time. But honestly, I think Ruziboyev it's a good spot for him at this plus money. I just think that Joaquin Buckley is a little bit too reckless, and we've seen Ruziboyev be able to be more calculated in those predicaments. And the one thing that really leads me to go to Ruziboyev is, of course, he has the grappling edge. But the one thing I dislike about Buckley that I've seen in that Chris Curtis fight is that he does try to throw that body kick. And we've seen Ruziboyev catch kicks like there's no tomorrow. And if he catches that kick, I think he's going to be able to throw that right cross. The same way, honestly, same way how he knocked out Bruno Ferreira. So I'm going to take Ruziboyev in this spot, and I think he's just excelling. Buckley is one of those types of guys that if he loses this, he's not losing no stock. So give me Ruziboyev.
Going with the dog and the co-main. Mr. Plus, what are your thoughts here?
When I was eyeballing the dogs of the week, Ruziboev was definitely one of the guys I looked at, and I just, Buckley with the home crowd might be more electric than we think. The minus 150 tag could be right. It's in St. Louis. He's from St. Louis. I don't know, man. This is a really tough one for me. This is one I want to see really bad. I just don't know what chips, if I'm going to put chips on the side. If I had to call it, because we have to pick every single fight, I think I'm leaning Buckley's side.
Yeah, I also don't know if I'm going to get to a bet here, but I agree. I'm leaning towards Buckley at the home here. I'm also just Borchev certainly looks dangerous and like a serious talent, but I want to see him get tested. I want to see him get into the third round of a fight where someone's grappling him and he's got to get out of dangerous positions. He's taking damage. He's trading back and forth. Buckley could offer a test here. Of course, we've seen Buckley get chin checked, so maybe Slick that right hand is coming and put him out. But I think Buckley maybe tries to mix up his MMA game here and see what Borchev's made of. So I lean Buckley's way. I think it could be a good competitive fight, and I hope he puts on a show for St. Louis here. All right, guys, other fights to talk about. Another St. Louis fighter, Charles Johnson, veteran of the game here at this point, taking on Jake Hadley. And Mr. Plus, this is a fight that you were debating maybe putting in the parlay pre-show. You decided to switch it up, talk more Kevin Jousset. But what do you think about Jake Hadley versus Charles Johnson at flyweight here?
I just went back and looked at who Hadley's fought, and it's really not anybody special on his dubs. So it just Charles Johnson, although this guy is fucking boring as shit, he knows how to get it done. He's a point fighter, and he usually beats guys that haven't beaten anybody. He loses to good guys and beats the okay ones. So I don't know, man. I couldn't put him on a parlay for us, so I had to take Hadley out. However, I do think Hadley gets it done. It just might be a boring one, maybe some grappling. Don't get me wrong; these guys will stand for a little bit, but I just couldn't get behind a decision fight as a parlay piece, so I had to swap it out for us. But I think Hadley gets it done. It's just gonna be boring.
I kind of see though why you might have taken it out. Like Johnson at home, he's a tough guy, veteran guy, got good grappling defense. Slick. Do you think that Johnson, back with the home crowd behind him, maybe has a chance to pull this off? What Hadley's like a minus 200 favorite right now, right?
Nah, I see minus 166 on DraftKings, so that's minus 170 on FanDuel. And honestly, I think Hadley does get this win. I honestly think that Johnson is not gonna. One thing that we know about Hadley is that he doesn't do good with good grapplers. Like he didn't do good against Durden and didn't do good against Nascimento. And one thing that we know about Hadley, he does have Chris boxing. So I'm a bet on him in a parlay. But I just hope his game plan in this fight is to come out striking first, not trying to shoot naked takedowns in the first minute. Because we've seen Johnson, he hasn't gotten submitted yet. This guy has been in the ground with guys like Mukayev, Brandon Royval, and hasn't gotten submitted. So give me Jake Hadley, but I'll probably go one unit in the parlay.
Bro, if there's like a hand fighting class, I want Charles Johnson to teach it. This guy just refuses to get choked or put away and give the backup and just last for 3 rounds straight. Like he's got to teach like grappling class, but unfortunately can't win fights defensively grappling. So it's like, yeah, you're right. Hadley's boxing striking game has really come along as well. So you guys like Hadley there, but just a lean there. And one that we didn't bring up early on in the prelims, JJ Aldrich taking on Veronica Hardy. I like Veronica Hardy a lot, minus 135 there. She's coming along, wife of Dan Hardy. And man, she's billed as a grappler at first, but her striking has really improved. Compact boxing. I really like her kickboxing game. She's showing just good movement, good overall just ring like IQ and awareness. And I like everything she was doing, man. I like her left hooks and her combinations she was throwing, body kicks. Like she looked super solid on the feet. Obviously, we know she's got a grappling background. And Aldrich kind of just becoming a journey woman, one of these veterans that jab, push the pace, has good cardio, tough enough to last, but probably ultimately loses decision. So I like Veronica Hardy by unanimous decision there. Mr. Plus, what do you think? Any thoughts on that fight?
Same side, not many thoughts. Probably going to skip it, not actually bet this one. I do think it goes distance. That could be a good parlay piece. But no, yeah, I agree with you. Hardy's really coming around. This will be her 3rd win in a row if she can get it done. So yeah, I do like that. She's been coming really along the last 2 fights. So I like Hardy. Aldridge is. I don't ever bet on her at all. I usually don't bet any of her fights because I'll either lose betting on her or lose betting against her. Or just never know. But that's why I'm probably staying off of it. But if I had to lean, I'm going Hardy.
Aldrich, definitely one of those weird fighters to bet on or against, like weirdly tricky. So, like, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, like you said, man, we're gonna be unanimous in this. I think Hardy gets the job done. I think she's gonna have the speed advantage on the feet, and if this fight anything goes to the ground, I think she'll be able to reverse position. Aldridge is just one of those types of girls that before we thought that she had good solid boxing. Now it's just a jab hoping to hit, and her combinations have just been no more. So I think Veronica Hardy just outvolumes her to a decision.
Yeah, after Ariane picked her up, like rinsed her in that fight, I was like, oh wait, Aldrich doesn't have good boxing. Like I was I covered fight on this card. We got the Darce parlay for you guys. Sean Woodson, Mateus, and Derek Lewis in the main event. We got the Mr. Plus par Evan Judette, Robelis to Spain, Mateus Rebeski. We're back in Rabi there. Slick on Tabitha Ricci in the Slick report. I'm on Slava Borchev. Speaking of Slava Borchev, Cal, we got Slava, friend of the show here. Any updates and news on our Slava?
Well, let's talk about this. I actually wanted to do a little bit of a step out from the ones and twos and do a little bit of a double down on some of the stuff you guys talked about. So Slava, straight up, he may get taken down 7 times, but he gets up every time. He gets up right away. He has great butterflies, slick jujitsu. So if you want to look at the difference between him and Hooper, on the ground, Hooper's slick with his jujitsu and uses his length, but Slava's going to be able to use his butterflies, get back up to the feet, and on the feet, Hooper takes a punch like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar doesn't take a punch well. He shells up right away. He's running away. He's backing up. And that's what Hooper does. Hooper's a horrible, horrible nail. He's going to be a nail in this. Plus 110. Give me Slava. Double down on your play. I absolutely love it. Terrence McKinney. Let's talk about him for a minute. I was on the other side of all your plays last week, Brasco, and I'm following you on this one. Terrence McKinney right now, if you look at it, round 1, just to win by any condition, plus 275. Round 2, plus 900. Hit both and hit Rebeski live, Robovich, sorry, live, and or even pre, and you're still going to walk away with money if you bankroll properly. Terrence McKinney is a money maker because you know what you're going to get, and you can now map out your bets around his fights. This is a fight you got to watch, definitely, and I think smart play by just to back up what Mr. Plus said, backing off the Hadley thing. He's a little sketchy. He can find ways to lose at times. It's good to maybe stay off a parlay with him because, the line may even get a little bit wider. You may want to be on the other side of this one going into it. So those are the ones I looked at. And Veronica Hardy's been powerlifting like crazy. It hasn't stopped. She's getting stronger and stronger and better. That's one of my locks of the week. I love her in this spot. I love prelim women's lines. That's one of my plays. I digress. I'll get back behind the ones and twos, but I thought I'd hammer down in some double downs for you guys.
I love it, man. Cal coming through with the knowledge there. I totally agree, man. Veronica Hardy, also one of my favorite bets of the week. He's back in a lot of our sides here, too. Very interesting stuff. All right, guys. Final words, Mr. Plus. What are you looking forward to most on this card? Any parting words?
I think there's a lot of good spots to pick 2-leggers, 3-leggers. Just be smart. Don't bet too crazy. If you're getting too mad when you lose, you're probably betting a little too much, boys. So pull back a little. And guys, if you had a good Saturday, I know we were up some units. Don't dump them betting stuff you don't know this week. Wait for the fights. Put your bets in early. Maybe beat some lines. Let's get it.
Uncle Mr. Plus coming through with the responsible gambling advice. You love to see it. YouTube administrators, you love to see it. Slick, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I actually took that same advice. I told myself to stop betting NBA playoffs, and now the only thing I'm looking forward to betting and building my bankroll up is UFC. So UFC has been my money maker, up close to 69 units on the year. Been printing UFC money all year, so hopefully just keep the ball rolling. And as long as we don't get Nascimento holding on for Derek Lewis for 5 rounds, I think it's going to be a good night.
Please pray for not a heavyweight slobber knocker. No, Lewis will not allow that to happen. It's going to be vintage Black Beast, my balls is hot performance. Thank you guys for watching the Darce. Hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And leave us a comment. Who are you backing on this card? You riding? You fading? What are you taking on UFC Fight Night St. Louis? Thanks for watching. Thank you, Slick, Mr. Plus, and Cal. I'll see you guys next week.